So now we'll shift gears and talk about the process. Let's get to the meat of the details. I know you touched on it a little, Bukola. So the process and lessons learned. So for you, Bumi, for someone who followed through one of those and one of those options, right, and saw it through, could you shed a little light um, on the process, especially from like a legal and emotional perspective?
Right. So about the process, maybe not the legal, because I'm not a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
But then to say that maybe about the emotional part.
Mm.
One of the things that helped me was I'm the kind of person who likes to read. If I, I was going to say read a lot, but I thought, in this age of social media, I used to reading a lot, lady. But then, if I want to embark on a journey, I'd arm myself with as much information as possible because I like to make informed decisions. And one of the things I even started to do was to, if I went into a particular bookshop and I said, all the books that you have on adoption, give to me. And I remember walking out with like about 5 and just sitting down and reading that season. One of the things that one of the books spoke to, was what the author called, I can't remember which of the books now, but she called it like a mourning phase,
Mm.
mourning. And she used the word mourning phase because for people of faith, before you progress on the adoption journey, there is a natural tendency to feel like, so this is what is going to happen. So does this mean that I am not going to be a traditional, I'm not going to birth, I'm not going to follow the traditional path? Does this mean that, so maybe if you've had pictures of baby showers in your head, maybe I just remembered you just thought about photo shoots, all the bumps and all of those things. There is going to be a phase where you, and that's the struggle. It seems like you're burying that dream. And it's the ability to come out of that, heal through that process, while absolutely leaning on God, that is very important and profound. So it was something that I had to, because if not, you just be dancing yo-yo around it. Maybe you go and drop letter, like a lot of people would do. You drop letter to in terms of the stages, of course, you start. There are different, the way that it works in Nigeria, where I live and I adopted, where we got our daughter, is that, of course, if different states run it differently. So this is me trying to just maybe talk a bit about the now.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Different states run different adoptions, usually under with their Ministry of Youth and Social Development for most of them. So it will start with you applying, taking a letter there. That's actually how it starts.
Mm-hmm.
So you take a letter in, and then after a while, you get called up for an interview. Of course, you get called up for an interview. There's usually an interview process. Then there would be, or before the interview, there's a point where maybe after the letter is being received, acknowledged, then there's a lot of requirements you're supposed to submit, your bank statements. And note, when I say that bank statement, it's not to show that you're a millionaire. It's actually just to show that you have a means of livelihood. There's a monthly income, even if it's for business. So you could drop your big business statement. So that would be required for both parties, evidence of what you do, if you're a business owner, your CAC, all of those things. So you, after submitting those requirements, there'll be the point where there'll be a home inspection if you're local. So they have domestic and international adoptions. So if it's domestic, there'll be a home visit. For the international, I think there'll be a day where they do the viewing and all of that. Then there's an interview for both parties. So, it's quite a bit of a process. And so I went there because I was talking about the emotional part, right? And I was saying that if not, you just drop a letter, you never go back, because you get back after one service or whatever. And no, I'm not making light of things of the spirit. I know that this is really very sensitive, right? But then, and that's why I use the word that obviously is something that it's largely, yes, externals exist, but that decision to go ahead would largely be driven by you. And it's the way that life is. Exam, whatever it is, they can say, oh, this job, you earn $100 million. If there's no internal motivation, you would not do it. So at the end of the day, when you come out of your mourning phase, like that book puts it, and then you've decided that this is something where you want to, you probably then get to start making progress around it and following through. But the truth of the matter, and I think this is the point to say it, is that, see, the whole of the infertility journey is saddled with a lot of, I'd say, challenges. Thank God for those women, those 5 out of 6 of us that would, just birth traditionally, have their children. I mean, first year, before they touch you, something, they're pregnant. I thank God for them. But the truth of the matter is, whatever that it is, I'm talking about the 1 in 6 now, whether adoption, whether IVFs, at least I'm speaking about the ones that I know, whether surrogacy, there is no one that is a walk in the park. All of them are marathons. Nothing is a sprint. Nothing is a sprint. Adoption is a process. From the time when you will do the interview to, of course, it now depends on maybe your connects, like Bukola said, that can then determine how fast that would go. I mean, truth be told, yeah, that can then determine how fast it will go. But the truth of the matter is, nothing and absolutely no way. Even the fact of, I mean, like she mentioned, her mother-in-law, oh, this child that looks like you, even getting or maybe choosing, because sometimes, I'll be honest, you don't have that luxury of saying that, oh, one child looks like you. That's the truth of the matter. Oh, yes. The truth of the matter, and that is the challenge. In fact, that is another conversation, because we have to be speaking about advocacy and trying to make people understand why, as against having abortions when you don't want, when you don't want a child. We have to be looking at how that we culturally, as a people, should be, and I say this carefully, in inverted commas, increasing the bank of children that are available for adoption, because that's another conversation. Because the current situation is that the demand in terms of women who want to adopt is actually more than the supply in terms of the availability of children. And I'm speaking to legal adoption. I'm not talking of baby factories that is an exchange for money.
Okay.
The bank of children available legitimate in orphanages is not that large. But then the truth of the matter is that if you've decided to do something, that thing they say about where there's a will, there's a way.
There's a way.
One right child, that child will be found, and everything would align. So even adoption is not a walk in the park. So you must be ready. It's the same way the IVF. What's the chance of that it's your first or your second or your? I mean, I've got that story. I did what, 3, 4. So there's none. The whole journey requires stamina. And that's why one of the things, the niche where I speak about is joy. You must find joy. The ability to keep, that is the internal compass that will help you through the journey, whatever decision you decide to. It's not that you will not cry. No, it's that after you pass that phase, you clean your face, because your joy is hinged on something. It's found from somewhere. And then you get going again. So whether surrogacy, I have a dear friend and sister who had waited for a while, and even when she did surrogacy, how many months? The surrogate lost the baby, twins. It was devastating. So you have to be, you need strength for the journey.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This journey, and truly at this time, I salute every woman on this
Mm.
journey of infertility.
The whole heart. Yeah. Yeah.
You deserve your flowers. If nobody's ever told you before, you are a gem, you are a star. You are holding up in our
Mm.
very, our environment that can be very caustic, because people are, well, East Africa now, we are very, well,
Mm,
proverts, right?
mm,
PIRTH.
mm.
It seems normal. And so when you ask, what's happening now? You are not
Notice.
crazy. You are
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
crazy. You
Yeah.
know,
Absolutely.
that's another conversation, right? So I salute every woman. Whatever it is that you decide, you need to be full.
Mm.
From that full cup that you
I
need
I
for
hate to
this
cut
journey.
you short, but
I'm done.
I no, it's so powerful what you said and how you talked about that whole, again, emphasizing the internal factors and that journey of self, and that opening your heart to something bigger. And then also talking about how it's a process, it's a journey, it's not something you just overlook. And for the 5 out of 6, couples, people don't really think about what you don't worry. But what I would say is I love your humor in all of it. And we would emphasize it much later when we talk about, how you've been able to build platforms to also encourage other people on this journey. So quickly for you, Bukola, because I have a follow-up question where you touched on them initially for me, but I want you to really spend some time talking about the challenges in the process and maybe how you overcame them. But for you, Bukola, one quick question is, what were some misconceptions you had about these alternate options to parenthood that you were able to shift or overcome when you started exploring?
Yes, thank you. So initially, I had this idea that, oh, if you have money, you could, just do anything you want to do. Adoption, surrogacy is just money. I didn't know that it was way beyond money. You could have all the monies in the world, and then nothing will happen. Honestly, it's not about money. So it was that I had that mindset that, oh, once there's money, you'll be able to do all of those things. And that was a very wrong idea. It was a very wrong one. So the lessons I learned was that, like Bumi said, you need your own self drive, which I think I didn't have. I didn't have that self drive to, go all the way, because each time, like she said, you might submit the letter and then you never go back to it, and then you just leave it there. So I didn't really have that drive to carry me through that journey of either the adoption process or the surrogacy. Today I'll just wake up, oh yeah, Shegu, we'll do it. And then after like 1, 2, 3 weeks, my other one will call me. Emma, give up. Don't give up. I'll say, mommy, don't worry. We're not giving up. We're not giving up. I will just quickly cycle up again so that she will think that we are still in the process. But honestly, I've almost forgotten about it. So because when she was telling me the process, even my mother-in-law, when she was telling me the process, I was like, this is too much. I didn't see myself going through all of that. Honestly, I just couldn't. Even for the surrogacy, when the process, I have to get a lawyer, sign this, it's better not to know your surrogate. It was, I couldn't comprehend it all. It was too much for me. It was too much. So I was like, at this point, I think I'm just gonna lay low. So what I learned was, I used to think that adoption or surrogacy is the easiest way out or easier way out. It is not. It is not. Honestly, for those that have their children naturally, you just have sex casually, and then you're pregnant. You don't know what God has done for you. You do not know. I think
Mm,
every day you should all just say thank you, Jesus, because every other alternative method, honestly, you need strength,
mm,
you need encouragement, you need resources, you need information, you need
mm,
everything, because you also have to consider cultural, what's the cultural role,
because,
what role does it play, what
yeah.
will people say. You have to think of all of that, so it's a whole lot. Is in fact, the like she mentioned, the money face.
Mm,
So many things you have to consider. So honestly, when I thought all about all of that, I'm like, oh no, I don't think I can go through all of this. So probably that's why I couldn't, make a headway in all of those, in the
Like
other
going through the
options.
process.
Yes, that's why I couldn't follow through the process.
Adoption is biblical, actually. I'm able to speak to that very quickly. Even we stand up and claim blessings of Abraham. We're not Jews. So we were adopted into the family of God for Christians, right?